On a winter morning, I make my way through the forest, dragging a sled behind me loaded with everything I'll need for the next 24 hours. The plan is simple: check the fishing in my pond, help the forest animals and birds, tidy up the cabin, enjoy a sauna, and spend the night deep in the woods. But trips like this are never ordinary, and today a real adventure awaits. Right now, it's early morning outside and the clock is ticking. The next 24 hours will be spent in our cozy cabin, exactly as we left it last time. I carefully stack my heavy backpack, tools, and all the gear in a corner to keep more space free inside the cabin. I brought a small supply of food, and the snow will help keep it fresh. Using a shovel, I pile up a pretty big mound, tidying up the area around the cabin at the same time. I pack down the snow firmly, then carve out a cavity inside. It looks a bit like a volcano, but this will actually be our improvised fridge. I place the food bag inside the space and pick a wider board from the pile. This will serve as the fridge lid. I cover it with snow, and now I don't need to worry about the freshness of the food. It's safely protected from temperature swings and forest animals, unlike if I had just left it outside. Next, I head out to the frozen pond. The holes from the last visit are sealed with ice. Even the square one we used after the sauna is completely frozen. They definitely need refreshing. Using an ice auger, I drill several new holes so the fish have access to oxygen and can breathe. Then I take homemade fish feed, a mix of different grains, and pour it into each hole, giving our underwater friends a snack. Since the holes are already fed, I decide not to miss the chance to try catching some fish in the pond during winter. You've mentioned it in the comments, so I specifically brought my fishing gear. On one rod, I thread some semolina using a syringe as bait. I drop the line into a hole, and to keep it from sitting directly on the ice, I use a small snowball as a stand. On the second rod, I attach a few bloodworms. I cast the line and give it a gentle twitch to attract the fish. Since the pond only has peaceful fish, sharp movements would scare them. It's easy to spook them. I sit by the holes for about an hour and start getting a bit cold. Suddenly, a fish approaches one of the rods and almost drags it straight into the hole. Unfortunately, it got away, leaving only an empty hook. No worries, I wouldn't want to eat fish from my own pond anyway, but it's good to see our underwater residents healthy and hungry, and there's definitely a bite even in winter. At this time, we also can't forget about the forest animals. Their activity is more noticeable than ever. A short walk through the woods reveals countless tracks of different animals, even tiny ones leading straight to a burrow. A bit further, a clearing is trampled in every direction. Long ago, we made a salt lick for the animals in our forest corner, but it's past its prime. The stick is rotting, and the plastic bottle looks out of place in the forest. So we dismantle the old salt lick and make a proper replacement. I find a fallen tree and saw two thick logs with a hand saw. I load the logs onto a sled and deliver them to our forest corner. Even sliding down the slopes on them. We need to strip the bark from these logs. A small axe does the job perfectly. Next, we drill a hole with a large bit and drive in a thinner stick. This structure is placed where the old salt lick was and buried securely so the animals can't knock it over. We take a block of salt with a hole in it, set it into the lick, and fix it in place with a small twig for stability. The principle works just like the old one. Moisture causes the salt to trickle down the log and animals lick it off the surface. We make another lick the same way and place it along an animal trail. Back in the forest corner, I find a dry standing tree and decide to show another salt lick option. I saw the trunk, so it sticks just above waist height. Then, using an axe, I remove the bark. From the top, I drill a cavity with a large auger and widen it with a chisel. Then I make several cuts with a saw. This salt lick is filled with loose salt and is ready to help the animals. The 3 licks we just made will make life much easier for the forest inhabitants, but we plan to make one more thing for the animals. Luckily, all our materials are stored under cover and can be reused. I grab some suitable boards and assemble a trough. I install a divider inside and fix it with nails. While working, a familiar visitor shows up, the fox we met last time. She watches us briefly and then goes about her business. Later, we'll treat her to a snack as well. The finished trough needs to be secured between 2 trees. I carefully attach small blocks of wood to the trunks with nails. We use these because they don't harm the trees. Then I place the trough on top of the blocks. Next, I build a simple roof frame so the feet doesn't get wet. I lay the boards like shingles and the roof is done. To make the feeder accessible even to the smallest animals, I attach a ladder made from a board and a few blocks. In the bags, we have different treats the animals love. In one section, I lay out vegetables, chopping them directly with a shovel, a very quick method, and it creates a real forest salad. In the second section, I pour in wheat and corn grains, adding some dry hay. The result is an excellent feeder with food for hares, deer, and even wild boars. It looks great and fits perfectly in our forest corner. From a small pine log, we make a feeder for birds. Using a chisel and different cuts, I hollow out the wood into a trough shape. I round the edges slightly with a knife and drill 2 holes for hanging. I hang it on a branch and fill it with a grain mix. The bird feeder is simple, requires minimal materials and effort, and delivers maximum results. The first chick has already come to feed. To monitor the forest corner and the animals, we installed a camera trap with a solar panel. I decided to check what it recorded. Opening the device app, I see an error. The camera is offline. I hike up to it and find it completely drained. The solar panel couldn't recharge it. The cold and short winter days affected battery life. I recharge it with a power bank, wrap it in leftover insulation we used for the sauna, and tape it carefully. Cutting openings with a sharp knife. Now the camera will handle the cold better and the batteries won't drain so fast. I return it to the tree, orienting the panel toward the sunniest spot. To be safe, we bought 2 more camera traps. We insulated them too and placed one near the forest corner, the other along an animal trail. The backup devices will make sure we don't miss anything, even if one camera fails. Now the forest corner is always under observation. Half the day has passed and hunger strikes. I head to the woodshed and split logs into thin pieces with a splitter. I grab them with more firewood and return to the cabin. Time to light the stove, cook, and stay warm for the night. I load the stove with wood and use a fire starter. Very handy in the outdoors, but it's finished. I have some Vaseline in my backpack, which I use in winter to moisturize chapped skin. Mixed with dry sawdust, it makes an excellent fire starting aid. I mix a bit of Vaseline with sawdust, warm it on the stove, and stir until the sawdust is fully coated. Then I scoop the mixture into an empty toothpaste tube, trim it, fold the edge, and seal it with a hot knife. A little of this mixture on a dry stick ignites with just one match. It burns well on almost any surface and helps light even slightly damp wood. Just don't mix it up with your toothpaste later. The stoves are roaring now, including the sauna, because a hot steam session is planned for today. Next, I grab ingredients from the fridge to make delicious salmon steaks for lunch. First, I remove the fish spines. Then I slide a knife under the skin and make a cut. I roll the fish and tie it with a string. For the marinade, I use an orange, a red one this time. I squeeze the juice from half. Then add soy sauce, a bit of honey, salt and pepper. I mix it all and brush it on the fish using rosemary twigs as a brush. I heat a pan on the stove, pour a little oil, let it get hot and add the steaks. I cook them for about 7 minutes per side. I take the fish off the heat, serve with orange wedges and a sprig of rosemary. Lunch is ready. It's restaurant quality. The fish is juicy, not overcooked, and the marinade brings out the flavor perfectly. After cooking, there's a pile of dirty dishes. I toss scraps and fish skins to our fox friend. Snow acts as a gentle abrasive, cleaning the dishes easily. I stack the clean dishes on the shelf under the table. The forest corner still has work to do. I take the sled and go fetch firewood. Last time I didn't collect all the stumps, so I load them and bring them to the woodshed. I split them into logs. You can never have too much firewood in winter. To keep the pile secure, I screw in 2 vertical blocks and stack the logs neatly. If I was staying a week, this would be enough. I bring some logs into the cabin for nighttime heat and store them under the bed. The floor got a bit dirty, so it's time to clean the cabin. I gather thin branches from nearby bushes. And tie them to a thick stick with wire. I trim the end slightly with an axe. The broom is ready, time to sweep. I hung the bedding on a line and beat it with a stick. No vacuum here, but this works well. I spread fresh sheets on the bed. Next, I service the kerosene lamps, cleaning soot from the glass and refilling them. It's time to light them as darkness falls. I take one lamp to check the sauna. The temperature inside is perfect. Before the steam session, I need to marinate the quail for dinner. I mix soy sauce, honey, smoked paprika, garlic powder, salt, and black pepper. I close the container and shake it well for even coating. While the quail marinates, I head to the sauna. I strip down, put on the bathrobe, and step inside. The sauna is hot, exactly what I need after a full day in the cold. Steam rises. I gently pat my muscles with a broom, and fatigue melts away with the heat. Then I run to the icy pond to cool off. And warm up again underwater heated on the stove. Time to return to the cabin. The marinated quail awaits. I place them on a foil tray, wrap tightly, and bake over the coals for about 20 minutes. When the crust browns, I take them out, plate with fresh salad and cherry tomatoes. Dinner is served. The quail is much more tender than chicken, soft with a subtle smoky flavor. I give the bones to the fox. Inside, it's over 20 degrees Celsius. I prepare for bed and fall asleep almost immediately. Night comes to an end, and at dawn, a terrifying howl wakes me. I don't go outside, it's a bit creepy, and try to sleep again. Sleep is restless. After hearing the sound, I couldn't fall asleep for a long time. First thing in the morning, I checked the camera trap recordings. One captures the familiar animal, the fox. Most likely she made those sounds at night. She was eating quail bones along the forest trail and returned multiple times searching for food. Could it be that we now have a real forest pet? Maybe we should give her a name. Leave your suggestions in the comments. I'll pick one for our fox. A full day has passed. Spending winter here is just as comfortable as any other season, and all our efforts were worthwhile. What else should we build in this forest corner? Let me know in the comments and I'll make it happen.